Hey, welcome everybody, and welcome back to our weekly show. And we like to call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping. It's where we handicap one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We are going to select a four race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us, and we are we are not going across the country. It makes me smile. I apologize for being a little bit casual today. I thought I'm actually wearing my black. I think this is going to be our last handicapping session for the year, or for the spring fall session from Santa Anita. So we are going to Santa Anita, California. We are going to be handicapping the pick four. It starts in race number 6, and it concludes in race number 9 with the Gold Cup. So, my name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and the racing analysts. So over on the East Coast, I've got Mr. Ray Torado joining us from Staten Island, New York. Ray, how you doing tonight?
How are you, Tim? Doing good, good. Doing very nice.
And of course, as always, from Temecula, California, my other friend, my other racing analyst for you as well is Joe English. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Rich. Thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, sir. As always, this is my favorite day of the week. I've been working very, very hard at the new job and things like that. So, as always, this is my favorite portion of the week. So, we are going to turn our attention to Santa Anita Racetrack in beautiful Arcadia, California. As I said, Santa Anita is getting ready to close down for the summer. It has been very, very hot, and there's been the fires burning out in California, so I hope everybody's staying safe. And once again, we will reemphasize that we are actually looking for someone to go ahead and handle our rather small weather segment for us. So if you know someone who's interested in broadcast meteorology or would like to broadcast some time on this show, let us know. You can let us know via the chat that's available on this page, or you can find us at Three Broke Guys on Twitter. You can also find Ray, Joe, or myself on Twitter if you want to look us up there as well. And until then, I just have this brief update for you. In Southern California tomorrow, it will be hot and it will be sunny. If I'm not mistaken, the highs are in the high 80s to low 90s. Sunshine and absolutely zero chance whatsoever of rain, although it would really help put out the fires that are right there in the San Gabriel Mountains.
No, I think you got it, Rich. Pretty status quo.
Yep, status quo. So again, if you want to be that weather person, the California track, we make it pretty easy for you to give that weather update. We've got a
Sunny,
total
hot, back to you.
yeah,
About
we've got
85 here, too, yeah. Very nice.
a total of 9 races. We have just 2 stakes that are on tap for Saturday. Tonight we are focused on the pick 4. It begins in race number 6. And again, it ends in race number 9. That is the Gold Cup. You also have the Triple Bend, so a pair of grade 1s on the card tonight. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. Shall we go ahead and get started?
Let's go.
I'm no more Team Pedroza, but I'll do my best. Let's go.
There we go. All right. First up, it's race number 6. 6 furlongs. It's an optional claimer, 20,000 for N1X. So we've got a few conditions. I would always love to bring in TVG's Rich Perloff to have him read this one because he is the master of the conditions. So the purse is $61,000. It is for cow-bred or cow-sired 3-year-olds and upward, which have never won $10,000 other than maiden, claiming, or starter, or which have never won 2 races, or optional claiming price of $20,000. 8 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 7. His name is Temengard. He's trained by Jerry Hollendorfer, and he is actually owned by sports personality Jim Rome. Folks, if we hit the pick four today, the 3 broke guys are going to claim one of the starters in race number 6. Ray, what do you like?
Well, I tell you, the field of 8 here. There's a lot of speed, so what I was looking for was a horse who could come off the pace. And I found one on the rail, number 1. Hi, I'm Jack. And he's been rested for 6 months after racing every month, 11 starts last year from February through December, with the last 4 races in this condition. Bejarano won this with his horse all coming off the pace, and I just hope he gets some racing room at one point in the race. Also used number 8, Family Code. He's been competing in state-bred minor stakes and open allowance. Dropped here finally to a lower level, and he could see a nice trip under Tyler Bay's trainer Robertino Diodoro is 30% for the year, and he seems to put horses in races that they can possibly win. Also, number 7, Tamangard, he's the favorite, like you mentioned. He broke his maiden in a nice solid 108 and 3 at Los Alamitos. At this level, he was cooked, going a full second faster on the first half, and he tied a bit at 6.5 furlongs. So he stays at this level, and he might be the speed of speeds here. So I'm gonna go 3 deep here in this optional allowance race of the sprint. I'm gonna go 1, 8, and 7, and I hope we can stay alive in this pick 4. Joe, what are you gonna say about this race? Manuals of 1.
You know what? To be honest, it's funny. I just after last week's performance, I was like, okay, I'm starting to think maybe my role on this show should be trying to beat these morning line favorites who I don't necessarily think are legitimate. And I don't necessarily have a problem with Tamengard. I just don't know what he is yet. Maybe today will be the day. And I did notice that he was cooked last time, as you mentioned. But I'm going to try and beat him. My top pick in the race is the 8 Family Code for all the reasons you mentioned. And I also wanted to throw in that last allowance, that last start of allowance race was for open company, and he's dropping back in with Statebreds today. So if he runs anything like that, or if he could improve on that race, considering the figure that he ran in that race was close to the top figures that he was running previous to that race, and now that he's a 3-year-old, I think he can step forward and maybe even improve and get closer to the par for the level. 3 to 1's kind of a short price, but he's going to be on the outside. And as you mentioned, he's 10 for 14 in the exacta at this meet, which is 36% winners, and he's 30% on the year, so you can't fault what he's been doing. So you've got to use him, but he's really only a B pick for me. I had a lot of trouble with this race, but I know that, at least to me, I think the favorite's not necessarily as reliable even as the Pizza Man or Untappable or as FNX proved to be last week. But I actually have a long shot in this race that I kind of like a little bit, and he's the longest shot on the morning line. I believe he's 15 to 1, and that's the 6 Pull a Train, because he's the only one in the race who's reached the Beyer speed figure par of 88. He ran a 90 back at Turf Paradise when winning a couple of open races actually, I think it was fall of last year. It wasn't last year. It was 2014. He had a troubled trip in his last race. He shows more speed than usually he did. Last time he bobbled at the start, which was not good, and he was wide the whole way. So he probably needed that race after a 17-month layoff. The second and third place finishers in that race have come back to win, so the race was productive. He'd been working at Los Al. He'd been working fine. He had won 45-4 drill prior to that last race. So I'm kind of thinking the connections may have wanted something more out of him, but the trip and the start probably killed any chance that he had. And he did win at this level. His last time at this level before that last race was a 5-furlong turf win, wire to wire at Del Mar at 20 to 1. He also, like I said, I mentioned earlier, he has 2 wins at Turf Paradise on the dirt. And again, he was the only one to break the Beyer speed figure par of 88 at this level. He did that back at Turf Paradise in an allowance race back in 2014. So in a race where I'm not necessarily happy with the favorites and I'm not sure what we're going to get out of most of these horses, I'm trying to reach again like I did last week. And like I said, maybe my role in the show is to try and beat favorites that I think are vulnerable. And at 15 to 1, I'm willing to take the chance. Like I said, he'd be a B+ pick, and as I'll mention later, I have plenty of alternative pick 4 possibilities. And this race, I could go in a lot of different directions. Like I said, I would stick with the 8 as my top pick, but my B+ pick would be the 6 Pull a Train. The jockey is not very successful or not very well known. Very Cruel Jack, everybody knows. But at 15 to 1, I'm willing to take the chance that maybe he can recapture some forward glory, and maybe that last race is the best thing for him. He didn't run as much as he could have. So I'd go 8-6 in that order. I'm not keen on either of the favorites, and I'm not sure about Hi, I'm Jack either, to be honest with you. So that's the way I'm seeing this race. It was confusing to me. So, Rich, try and clear my mind.
And before I try clearing anybody's mind, God forbid, Ray, was your top pick in this race the 1, I Am Jack?
Yeah, 1, yeah.
And then your second choice is the 8?
The 8.
Okay, and Joe, your top choice is the 8 and the 6?
Correct.
So I was concerned. I have a feeling that this is a false morning line, or that the morning line guy might have missed this one a little bit. Considering that the 8 is also my top pick in this race, I have a concern that the 8 is actually going to go off as the favorite. Diodoro has been on fire, and he actually has been on fire for a couple of weeks now. This thing where you see the hot trainer last 14 days, this has been showing for him like the entire month of June. He started off really, really poorly at the meet, at the spring meet here in Santa Anita, and then has really picked up as it has come on. I think he's probably won like three races per week for like the last 3 weeks to get up to this 12 range. The horse has got speed. Him and Tyler Bays, when they hook up together, that's 3 out of 5, 60%. There's not a number in here that shouldn't be missed by any horse player. Second off the layoff, the winner of the last race. Drops off a win. This is Diodoro's thing. Don't get concerned about the fact that the horse is coming from protected races now into an open race. This is probably your favorite. I have a feeling that the fans aren't going to miss this at the track tomorrow. But I don't think there's all that much of a differentiation. Tamengard is pretty good. Hollendorfer's doing a very good job with him. It was perfectly predictable what happened that last time. People were saying he got cooked, whatever you want to call it like that. It was also that magic combination for first time for the maiden and like that. It was his first time doing all the things that he was doing at that point in time. So going against winners and things like that. And he was the favorite, and he got cooked, as you guys mentioned. So I'm willing to be forgiving when it's first against winners. And so Tamengard would have been my second pick. And I don't actually even, I think I probably just had them both as the 7 and the 8, as the A and the B pick. If I was looking for a long shot in this race, if I was trying to reach and not just cut off the top 2, I think I had also been interested to see exactly what it was that Doug O'Neill was doing with Hi, I'm Jack. Joe and I saw this horse last year at Del Mar. He looked like he had talent. He looked like he was going to be somebody. And then they switched him to the turf. They were kind of messing around with him. That didn't work. And then he went to the bench for quite a long layoff. O'Neill hits okay off the layoff. One thing I point out there, for the super trainer stats and things like that, 10% is not the best number, and it's not like he doesn't do it very often. Bejarano, Doug O'Neill, not necessarily a magic combination, but Bejarano still the best rider at this track, or one of the top 2 at least now. So I just went 8-7, Joe went 8-6, and Ray went 1-8. Anything else, gentlemen?
No.
All right, hold on one second here. Bring you guys back up and see if I can get my face back up on the screen here for a second. Hi, everybody. All right. And we are moving on to race number 7. This is a maiden special weight race. The purse is $56,000. They're going 1 mile. It is for maidens, 3-year-olds, and upward. 9 starters, and your morning line favorite, once again, it's in post number 7. That's Giant Expectations for Peter Urton and ridden by Mario Gutierrez. Joe, we can't afford any of the horses in this race, so just tell us who's going to win.
Gee, if I could tell you who was going to win, I might be able to afford any of the horses in the race. I'm unfortunately, this race is one of the one. I'm the chalk eating weasel in this one, but I do have an upset special possibly in this spot too. So, but I'll start with Giant Expectations. He's the A pick. He's been been at or above or near the Beyer speed figure par for the level in his last 4 starts. He's been he finished behind two horses that you may have heard of. One, American Freedom, who actually won on the day of the Preakness, at Pimlico in the slop, a race that we actually had handicapped in our pick for, and a horse who actually won today pretty easily, a horse that Bob Affort's pretty high on. The horse's name is Arrogate, a horse we also lost on in a pick for at Los Alamitos when he broke horribly at the beginning. So he looks like a future. Yeah, sorry. He has the look of a future stakes winner, and Bob Affort has been talking about him, and he talked on Twitter about them sending him to the East Coast. I guess they think this horse can actually win the Breeders' Cup Classic. Believe it or not, they said he never gets tired. I'm sorry. That's talking about Arrogate, the horse that Giant Expectations had been beaten by. It's also Giant Expectations' second time in blinkers today. decent drill on June 18th, and that the pace in that last race was slow, so he was never really going to get to Arrogate anyway. But he did well to hold second, so he's probably the most likely winner. But he still managed to finish second, finish underneath 5 different times. There shouldn't be any reason he shouldn't win today. Today, to me, is probably now or never for this horse. But I'm going to come up with another horse. Rich, if you would scan to the number 5, Tis No Bluff, trained by the Ron Ellis, Joe Talmo combination, father-in-law and son-in-law, 6-1 on the morning line. He had no chance in his debut. He lost a few lengths at the start, but the pace was below average that day, so he wasn't going to be able to make up that ground regardless of what happened. The winner was a wire-to-wire winner. But what was interesting to me was that he debuted going long, and he was bet. He was 9-2 at post time. I get it was a 6-horse field, but at least he did get some consideration at the windows. It's not as if he was 10 or 15-1, and I'm not sure how often Ron Ellis debuts horses going long. So my guess is in the morning this horse showed that he didn't really get started until later in the race, which is why Ron Ellis would do that. And he finished decently in that race. They finished fast, and he wasn't embarrassed. He didn't make up a lot of ground, but he wasn't going to because of that finish. And Joe Talamo is having a pretty good meet. So as an underneath pick, if Giant Expectations is going to lose to a horse today, I'm going to take a chance and say that it's the 5, Tis No Bluff. Again, 6-1 morning line. Top choice is the 7, Giant Expectations at 9-5 for Erton Gutierrez. Second choice for me is Tis No Bluff for Ellis Talamo at 6-1. He's a B+ pick for me. Ray, do you have anything to say that will also enlighten me? I'm looking for enlightenment today.
Yeah, there was a little character in front of Rich. You might recognize him. He's got a horse here. Number 2, Westfield from Bob Baffert Barn. He's being favored for Bob Baffert, and he's stretching out to 2-turn mile. There's some speed to the outside of him. Number 4, Super Touch. Today, maybe he might be rating. They might try and rate him and see if he could pounce at him top of the stretch. Don't figure Super Touch to be around at the end. So, also, there is Bob Baffert. He might be bobbing his head at the winner's circle today with Westfield. Also, yeah, like you mentioned, number 7, Giant Expectations for Peter Urton. Stays in the same class, and after a good second to Arrogate, who's in the Baffert Barn. He's been at this distance twice. He keeps improving. In this 6th race, he's been losing to some good horses. American Freedom, Arrogate, and Iconic. So, yeah, this is probably, like you said, his race to win. Not much of a price, but we could probably include him. Also, unless I don't see anybody else in this race, unless number 1 Supervisor for Simon O'Callaghan rebounds off his really terrible first time out with Sal Gonzalez. You got a chance. I mean, I would like to include him. He's a good long shot, 10-1. And also, like you said, Tis No Bluff for Ron Ellis and Joe Talamo. He can improve second time out. You see some of these trainers, they just run the horses and they make adjustments, and they run better second time out. So, and you get also 6-1. So, those 2 horses could also improve. All right, Rich, what you got to say about this main special weight?
I honestly felt this was a very, very difficult race, and I could have easily seen myself going 5 horses deep on a 6-4 ticket in this race. That was how tough I found it. Joe already covered one of my horses, so Giant Expectations, when I say he's one of my horses, I actually referring to that as a little bit of a statement and things like that. If you can imagine one of those bins right next to me where there's a big raging fire, well, there's a lot of my money that's been thrown into that fire in the name of Giant Expectations. I'm just going to document this really quickly because horse players will do this, right? So I bet him this day against 7 cents. I had no idea that 7 cents was a freak and just ran around that day. For those of you who watch our show, you might remember we actually hit the pick 4 this day because we had American Freedom in that. Giant Expectations was the other horse that I had on that day. And, of course, because I was alive in the pick 4, that was the horse that I bet that day. And then, Joe, one of the horses that you missed that you also lost to this is the Lieutenant. You will be hearing about the Lieutenant just in a few minutes. So this is another standout horse. And as Joe mentioned, Arrogate is the talk of Southern California right now. The only mark on his record was he didn't have a slow start in his first race. He got stuck in the gate in his first race. He had no chance whatsoever. Um, Giant Expectations is a real player. I'm tapping my fingers, and I'm actually doing like Joe did, though, because I don't know if this is the race that I want to try and look up way in the sky and see if I swing away from, I mean, and anybody who's watching this show for a horse player and who has heard that I just lost a lot of money on this horse, you know that I want to cash the ticket when this horse wins, right? That's like one of the most important things in my life right now is to validate my predictions with Giant Expectations. But I have this feeling that maybe he's not going to get it done again today. I loved Ray's pick as well, Westfeld. That way, or Westfest. That was why I brought up my video for a few minutes so everybody could see that I did bring my Bob Baffert bobblehead doll here so that he could shake his head at me if I forget his horses when I'm doing this thing. So I did like Westfest so well. And the horse that I ended up settling on, trying to do like Joe did, trying to do like Ray did, looking for a long shot for somebody to get there, I decided to go ahead and settle on the class climber. His name is number 4. Or his name is Super Touch, and he's in post number 4. He has one of the hottest jockeys at Santa Anita right now, so that's Edwin Maldonado. He has had a sensational meet this year. Mark Glatt has been doing exceptionally well lately, and this is the quickest horse in the race. So he's got the pace advantage. I do believe he will be on the lead. As you see there, he used to have Martin Pedroza as his main jockey, and he has switched over to the other top gate rider out of Santa Anita. This is Edwin Maldonado. Who is actually having a much better meet than Martin Pedroza. So the concern or the knock that I have on Super Touch, that the reason that I wasn't sure if I was going to mention him before I mentioned Giant Expectations is he's been racing. If you look at those fields over on the right-hand side over here, it's a 6-horse field, it's an 8-horse field, and it's a 6-horse field, and it's the exact same horses. Bamar, I would ask Michael Brona to help me. This horse's name is French, Bamar Case or something like that. So him and Bamar Case have been trading positions. And if Joe has formulated, you can look it up. They're all the same horses in all 3 of those same races. So that was my concern, is going back up to maiden special weight. Maybe he's not there, but the thing that I will say is, again, he is the quickest horse. He's the most likely to be on the lead. When we look at these races, you do get 30%, 32% that go wire to wire, and you get 75% that are won by the E and the EP types. Just 18% going to the closers. It didn't look like it was a ferocious pace up front, and so I thought maybe, just maybe, if Edwin Maldonado can get Super Touch out to the lead and get him to settle down, that this is where we'll spring our 10-1 winner. And my second pick, my backup pick there would have been Giant Expectations with Westfeld, and just to show that I wasn't adverse to what you guys were talking about, in that 5-horse pick 4 where I was going to use all 5. I've got the 2, I've got the 7, I've got the 5. I actually even had the 8. I even have John Sheriff's second-time starter as well, just because I thought this race was that tough. But I will stick on the top here. I will put the 4 on top. I will go ahead and get my courage pillow out here, and I will go with the 4 on top. I'll put the 7 and the 2 underneath as my backup picks there. Joe went with the 7 as his top pick and the 5 as his second pick. And I believe Ray has the 2, Westfeld, as his top pick, with the 7 as his backup pick. And then Ray also mentioned the 1 and the 5.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. And I will come back on the for a minute. Me and Bob are back. And we are moving on to, we have a pair of green ones for you, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the reason that we came to Santa Anita this week. This is why this is probably the best card in the country for us. Race number 8, it is the Triple Bend Stakes, grade 1 for 3-year-olds and upward. First, $300,000. 8 starters, and your morning line favorite in post number 2, he's still going, even if his namesake's not. All right, Kobe's back. Trained by Peter Urton and ridden by Gary Stevens. Ray, Kobe once dropped 60 on the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Any chance Michael Rona gets to call that iconic name one more time at the Santa Anita finish line tomorrow?
Well, next year we might have a better team. We just got Doug Gross. I'm very happy. Actually, this race, I know you can. How many knees you gonna have? Right, 2 knees. Okay. Well, knee replacement. Okay. Well, that won't be the case here for subtle Indian. This horse I think has some good knees. Uh, Lots of speed here. The loan looks like the Cologne quality speed, 4 for 5 this year, mostly at Oaklawn. Second in the Kona Gold on Preakness Day. Never been 7 furlongs, but Mike Smith will do his best to throw out that speed and try and steal this race. And he's one of the best. So that let's see. Oh yeah, the trainer Deodato still is on fire, like we mentioned before. So This is a grade one. It's a good test for him because he's gonna have some horses coming after him. Like number 2, Kobe's back. He continued his good closing form. Second, Churchill Downs. He's 3 for 6 with 2 seconds at Santa Anita. Gary Stevens stays aboard. Look for this great horse to be storming down the stretch, like we've seen him before. And you know what? He deserves to get a grade one. So Bob Baffert's here. Of course, how could you not have Bob Baffert not in the grade one at Santa Anita? He's got his Lord Nelson. He met one happy in the grade one Malibu, and he could do no more than even third. He won his last race off a layoff at a prep for this. He's 3 for 6 at Santa Anita. Baffert, tap. Bejarano, once again, together, 30%. It's going to be a good race. 7 furlongs, I think go like 121. That's my pick. 6, 2, and 4. But put the speed on top, and hopefully we can go all the way with this horse. All right, Joe, we're going to say about the Triple Bend. I used to be in Hollywood Park, so I kind of missed that one.
This is going to be really short, really sweet. Kobe's back. Single. 3 of 5 wins at 7 furlongs. 5 of 6 in the exact at Santa Anita. Doesn't need a fast pace to run into. If you look at the Bristnet past performances, you can see that the last 3 races he's run in, the pace has been below par, yet he still won 2 of the 3. And the 2 races that he won were at Santa Anita at 7 furlongs. He's been facing all these horses in the best in the West. There's no wild dude. There's no calculator. There's nobody in here who's beaten him before. Urton Spartan's going well. And to be honest with you, unless Mike Smith can get Subtle Indian on his back, I don't think that horse wants any part of that last furlong. He was up by 5 last time out in a below par race, and he still drifted out. He did well. I just don't think Smith is going to have to do everything he can to get this horse home. But I don't think he's going to be able to hold off Kobe's back. I've seen it too many times before. I don't think we need to go. Personally, I wouldn't go any deeper than that. So I'm just going to hand it off to you, Rich. Rich, take it away.
I also have a single, but there's a reason I brought my little guest with me here. He wouldn't be happy if I singled away from his horse, and he was like, "That's how." I keep bringing him up just so that we can all see that I wanted to make sure that Bob got his due today. Lord Nelson. And hang on one second, I'll bring back up my screen so we can go ahead and we'll check this out together. That was actually my single for this pick 4. As I said, I kind of went 5 horses deep on my pick 4 in the 7th race, so I singled here with Lord Nelson, or I went 2 deep and used Lord Nelson and Kobe's back. But this is Baffert's horse. He is absolutely solid. He was on the Derby Trail last year. He was the solid 3-year-old from Baffert's barn. Obviously, there was another 3-year-old in Baffert's barn last year that was getting a lot of attention. I can't recall what his name was, but he retired. He went away. And Lord Nelson was the one that came back and was in the Malibu. And we were all, the expectation that was set was you were going to see Lord Dortmund, and you would see Lord Nelson, and hopefully we would see Firing Line. And so far, we saw Lord Nelson came back in the Malibu, and then he went away for quite a few months. We never have seen Dortmund this year. We never have seen Firing Line this year. A little bit of a disappointment for the older division as far as California. So it was kind of exciting when Lord Nelson came back. Now, everybody's going to get a little bit confused because you're going to see this OC75BN, and it should be OC75BS because there's no way that was an OC75 race. These aren't even necessarily the best horses that were in that race, but as you see, Lord Nelson, when he came back, he beat Ocho 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 and Raised a Secret in that same race, and there were a couple of other beasts that were in that race. It might have only been a 6-horse field, but it was like a little California stakes race out here that they brought him back in, and he looked absolutely fantastic. He was ridden out that day, so Bejarano had himself a nice little trip that day, and coming back today, I think Lord Nelson's got the measure of it. There's not a whole lot of pace in this race, so I think he's going to get first jump on Subtle Indian. I heard what Joe was saying. The thing that I would contradict on that is if you saw this race, the Kona Gold and things like that, this was this horse's first race over here from Oakland when he came to Santa Anita, and he freaked. And you saw, as you heard, he went 5 lengths ahead, and Ramon Vasquez was doing everything he could to try and get a hammerlock on him. The horse is absolutely freaky fast, even for California. So he kept going. As you see here, he didn't just drift out in the backstretch. He drifted out going on the backside, and then he drifted out again. So he was all over the place. He was weaving in. He was weaving out. It was a tough field. And despite all that, and despite the fact that he got caught by a horse named Wild Dude right at the wire, and again, for folks who are watching that right here in the West, that horse is no slouch. This was a good field. I was surprised that he finished only 1 length off the lead, running left, running right, and running off. That being said, everybody else already covered. Kobe's back, and I kind of gave you a little bit in the introduction. He's almost everybody's favorite horse out here, if for no other reason, just for the way he's named. Peter Urton, Gary Stevens, Joe has alluded to the fact that he doesn't even need, a particularly dramatic pace to run into. However, he can be had because he's always back. The one thing that I highlighted here, and you might have seen in my little notes there, like that, the word slow shows up in Kobe's back more than anything else that you'll see with this. So I'm always a little bit fearful of singling him unless I see him as a complete standout. And then for me, in this one, I saw it as Lord No. So I've got the 4 and the 2 on top, or the 4 and the 2 as my 2. It looks like Joe just went with the 2. And then Ray, I believe you've got the 6 on top, you've got the 2 and the 4. So we're not that far off on that one. All righty. Back over. I will come back to our screen one last time. And we are headed off to, this is the big one, the Gold Cup at Santa Anita. It's a grade 1 for 3-year-olds and upward. They're going 10 furlongs, or 1.25 miles. Purse is a little bit light to me, a little bit $500,000. 8 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 6. He's a little bit of a local celebrity on the California racing circuit. He's trained again by my buddy here, Bob Baffert. He's ridden by Mike Smith. It's opportunity today. So, Joe, it's a little unique that we close with a grade 1 at Santa Anita. No one made him claiming 20,000 here, but today that's the case. So you take us home in the finale, buddy.
It's funny, Rich. I agree with you that the purse seemed a little light. I was looking at FNX last week, and I kind of wondered why he wasn't running in the Gold Cup this week, and then I realized, well, the Foster had the same purse as the Gold Cup, so why ship? Of course, The way he ran in the Foster, I don't think it would have made any difference anyway. But speaking of the Stephen Foster, and speaking of FNX, my top pick in here is the horse that he beat at Oakland Park, and that's the number 7, Melatonin. He's 7-2 on the morning line. I'm not sure he's not going to be the favorite, but it'll probably be close. And this race, to be honest, is wide open. You can come up with a lot of different reasons as why some horses can win. And I think maybe there's only one horse in the race who would really shock me. But anyway, back to Melatonin. We know he's won at the level and at the distance and on the surface. He beat us in the pick 4 that one day when we all singled FNX, and he went wire to wire at 16-1 to win the Santa Anita Handicap. He'll be prominent early as long as he gets off to a good start. And at 10 furlongs, generally the further you go, the more you want to be closer to the lead, especially on the surface, even though there's not enough information on the Brisnet track profile to tell you that. It's a known fact that Santa Anita's favors speed regardless of how long you go. And the longer the better. He was well clear of the rest of the field behind FNX in the Oakland Handicap. He's been working regularly, and the works have been extended, so I don't have any problem with his day layoff. He does spot opportunity 4 pounds today, so that could be an issue going 1.25 miles. And the other problem, I guess, is that if you look at the company he kept, FNX did disappoint in the Foster last week. But I still think he has more positives than he does negatives. So Melatonin would be the top choice for me. My second choice is the local hero, sort of, Opportunity, from Baffert and Mike Smith at 3-1. 9 for 10 in the money at Santa Anita. And he ran a respectable 3rd behind California Chrome. And he actually beat Frosted, who actually just destroyed the Metropolitan Handicap field on Belmont Day. Winning what a lot of people are saying is the fastest race of all time, at least the Thorograph people are. but I wanted to alert everybody in case they hadn't seen Twitter today. There was a Twin Spires tweet that Bob Afford indicated today that he thought Opportunity might be, quote, a workout short for this race, end quote. But he was impressed with his gallop, which is why he is actually going to go ahead and run him today. So Opportunity would be my second choice. But I actually want to go through the field a little bit, if you can indulge me. I want to go through. Alabali is the one, and he's got strong connections. He gets a ground-saving trip, and he's a 13-time winner, but it's his turf debut. Number 2, Second Summer, was gutsy in the California, and he should get first run on deep closers like Hard Aces and Imperative. But he's got to get by Melatonin, not Lieutenant Colonel, like he did in California. Hard Aces won the race last year. He ran on well to get a place in the Californian, so he's done this before. Lieutenant Colonel, if somehow Melatonin is not on the lead with him and he gets clear, speed's always dangerous on this track. Imperative adds blinkers for Baltus Bejarano, which is a great jockey-trainer combo, but he hasn't won in a long time. So you can see how interesting this race can be. The only horse I don't think has a chance is Win the Space. But I tried to narrow it down to 2 deep. I could actually be persuaded to single Melatonin if we wanted to go that far. But anyway, Melatonin's my top pick, the 7 at 7-2, and Opportunity is my second choice, number 6 at 3-1. So Ray, can you please expand on what I've said?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna reverse your picks.
Reverse my pick?
Yeah, we're gonna go exacta box here. Yeah, you're right. I like number 6. My first pick is Opportunity. Gets my nod here based on his game efforts against some of the best horses. I mean, California Chrome, Beholder, Share Belief, Noble Bird, Hard Aces, who won this race last year. FedEx, good third in the Dubai World Cup. And as you can see what Foster did after that trip, maybe there's something in the water that just gives the horses a little more energy because, I mean, come back from Dubai, maybe that might not be a bad thing now. Mike Speed gets back on him, and this is his grade 1 to win. Speed's always dangerous for number 7. Melatonin's going to run well. He's a perfect 3 for 3 at Santa Anita. He can be tough to run down the lane, as we can see in the handicap, the big cap, who you're like, wow. The pace will dictate his face. He's one of the original 3BG angle winners, going from 9 winners of 2 to a great stake winner. The big caps without a fraction. Talon stays aboard. And I also take a shot, like you said, number 1, Bali. Dirt debut, but he's been working out on dirt, so he's 13 for 21. Been successful at this distance, and Santita will have no more turf races to the fall, so they had to run him somewhere. Good chance for him to try turf here. Mandela's 24% going turf to dirt. He could mow down this field if he gets a good a trip. If the full race falls apart, his prime power 148.5 was top in the race. That's not too bad for switching.
I thought that was really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I found that because usually that's based on like the whole type of the race. So I found that very interesting. Of course, you got mentioned Hard Aces, but he hasn't been running well lately, so he could be a reach right now. So I would go with 6, 7, and 1 as my 3 picks. All right, Rich. The Gold Cup. Yeah, the purse was kind of light. I think it used to be like $1 million or $750,000. So
it's going
maybe
down.
the budget didn't allow for it. Yeah, it's going down, but it's still a grade 1, so that still keeps the status. That's very important. I see some races here at New York and Belmont that has lost the grade and kind of kept the purse a little bit, but I mean close to it. But still, when you lose that grade status, some trainers may not want to come. So it's very important for them for the grade status, for the sire and the breeding and stuff. So, all right, Rich, we gotta say about the 10 furlong, mile and a quarter, $500,000 Gold Cup.
Okay, well, I mean, it shouldn't have been too hard considering who I brought as my special guest for today's show that I had here on my desktop and things like that to figure out where I was going, especially not from the introduction that I gave to this race. So I ended up on Opportunity. You heard me, announce him as a little bit of a local celebrity a couple of years ago here on the West Coast circuit. There were 3 horses that knocked heads on the West Coast, and it was California Chrome. It was a horse named Candy Boy, and it was Opportunity. They're all 3 still going today. California horse California Chrome could be, considered the best horse in the world right now. Candy Boy is still going over in Saudi Arabia. Every once in a while, he shows up on one of my late night broadcasts that I see. And Opportunity still is a 5-year-old, and he makes me smile every time I see him. So he's a classy sort, a lot of class in this case, and I think he can take Melatonin. One of the reasons that I think he can take Melatonin is primarily because of number 4, Lieutenant Colonel, who is the fastest horse in this race. This is the horse that's most likely to be on the lead and to complicate anybody who's a pace type who's going to be trying to take it wire to wire or even get that first jump. Lieutenant Colonel's going to be up there, and he's going to be fighting. It could be, it'll probably be Melatonin, and it looks like with this race, there could be some pace. So I actually even looked at hard aces a little bit. I was looking at anybody who might want to come from off the pace of this particular kind. But I really didn't have to look too far. Second Summer, I did like the fact that he has won 3 in a row and 1 second. So the Right Now horse is certainly Second Summer. And the thing that Ray caught that I wanted to bring up, which is, although I'm not a complete numbers guy that just is a slave to them, I do look at the prime power in every single race. And with just a couple of exceptions and things like that, I mean, I'm usually not too far off in my handicapping from what the prime power says. Until earlier this afternoon when I came to this one, and then, the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot just came pouring out of my mind and sat there and said, how in God's name could Ballad Ollie be the top prime power in this particular that just did not compute.
They switched the race to the tough, that's why.
I wish I knew what went into that number sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So my top two picks in this one are the 6. Opportunity's got a special place in my heart, and I know Bob's not going to let me down tomorrow. And the 7 is my backup pick. So I've got Melatonin as my second pick in there. If I had enough room, if I was going to go deeper and things like that, I would maybe include a horse like a Second Summer, just because he's the Right Now horse. But right now, I would just stick with 6, 7. So I am 6, 7. Joe, I believe, was 7 and 8, and Ray, I believe,
7, 6.
7, 6. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray, I believe you were 6, 7, 1.
Yeah.
All right. So hang on. Let me come back to the screen here for a moment.
I saw a picture of the turf course. They finished the downhill part of it. So.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, it looked pretty nice.
It was posted on Twitter today.
On Twitter, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw that.
It doesn't mean they're going to run any races on it. Actually, I was while you're working on it, Rich. I was like, I remember who tweeted it, but somebody said something about why don't they run a race down the hill on the dirt while it was there. They were wondering why they wouldn't do that. I was like, I don't know. I guess they had to put it in now to make sure it's seated right for the fall meet. But it was an interesting thought, at least, if nothing else. But
crazy ass fans.
That would be interesting.
Well, yeah, because that would be.
Yeah.
Heck, they run 107 and change out here without needing a hill. They run on that hill they may run 105. Who knows? Heck, they run 106 and change on the turf. So.
Yeah, 41 half.
It's insane. No, maybe we should just stick with it the way it's been. But anyway, I just thought it was an interesting thought.
All right, and we are coming up on our pick 4 template. Nice and
I want to see a track that goes on with 3 different courses: turf, synthetic, and dirt. That'd be amazing.
Well, there was a track. I think was it not Gulfstream that not too long ago actually ran races simultaneously on both the dirt and the turf?
I'm trying to think of where that is. There is a track.
I thought Gulfstream did it once, and I thought somebody else had done it once too. Can't remember who it was, but I thought Gulfstream had done it also.
I think you might be right, because I believe Christina Balsanakis calls one of the races and the other race caller calls the other race.
Yeah, like I said, I think they ran both at the same time.
All right. In race number 7, we've got a mess here. because we made it before. We've got the
Keno ticket.
We've got 1, 2, 4. That's because of me.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough one.
7. Yeah. All right. And race number 8, we've got even. And in the finale, it is 1, 6, 7. All right, 1, 6, 7. So let's just take a look at that first.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
3, 5, 15, 45. 3, 135.
Yeah, that's 67 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. Can I make the first suggestion? And Rich, you alluded to it. Sorry, Ray. I think we need to kick Bala Bali out of the big cap. As much as he could win, in order to reduce that ticket. Again, I'm not saying he can't win the race. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Well, and I will tell you then. Yeah, and the first horse that I could take off from mine is because in race number 7, the 4 is my long shot. So let's take that out.
Prime Power be damned.
Well, no, I didn't go off of Prime Power. I've got.
No. I mean, I'm talking about Bala Bali, Rich.
Oh, Bala Bali. Okay.
Prime Power be damned.
All right. So there's 3,
3, 4, 12, 36, 36. That's not bad.
Let's see. Who have we got? Just to make sure that we've got the right horses. And this one. I'm sorry. Let me get back out there and present that so everybody can see what we're doing.
What? Everybody scratched.
What? Sorry?
No, the screen blank.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and I checked. I checked I checked the program. They printed the program, and so far there are no scratches in the pick 4 tomorrow. And I would have mentioned it beforehand, but since there are no scratches, it didn't really matter.
All right.
So.
In race number 7, we have. That's correct. We have the 1 supervisor.
7.
We have the 2 West Fest. We have the 5 is Tisno Bluff, and we have the 7 Giant Expectations. That cover for us?
Yeah,
that works. All right. And in race 6, we have Hi, I'm Jack. And Tamangard and Family Code. Let's see. Joe, didn't you have one that was in there that was supposed to be in here?
Yeah, like I said, he was my 15-to-1. Pull it out of my house. Pull it out of my you-know-what hole. But if he were left off, I'd have no issue with it.
Okay. So we're good there. And in the triple bend, I see Kobe's back right off the bat, so we're good there. Got Kobe, we got Lord Nelson covered, and Subtle Indian. We good there? And the Gold Cup is just Opportunity and Melatonin. So match race there to finish it out.
Yep, that'd be $36.
36.
You want to try paring down from there, or are we good with that?
We're pretty much on the same page this week.
I don't know about that. I mean,
how many sides did you? Yeah, we.
I'll tell. Here, I'm going to show you guys what I did. I did my PowerPoint, and I did 4 machinations of the pick 4. And here's what I. Well, actually, wait a minute. Let me get it to the camera if I can get it. Wait a minute. No, I get it. No, that doesn't work. Here's what I did. I was like I was pretty much all over the place, and I actually was going to suggest a all by 2x7 ticket, only because I just have a feeling. I have an odd feeling about long shot, about the favorites in those first 2 legs, and like I said, I have no problem with the ticket that we have. But I'm the anti-Rich tomorrow. Rich went Baffert, and I went against him in all 3 races.
Well,
So,
in addition to that, you actually you singled in the triple band, and I mean, you're looking. You guys are seeing my notes right now. Let's see.
no, we're seeing the template right now.
All right, hold on. I'll stop this. So let me just make sure I get this correct. I'll come back to our screen. Here it is. And so I know that you had singled in the triple bend, and I ended up singling. And sometimes I told you, Joe, when you and I had handicap before, I said, I've told you before, well, sometimes when I'm singling, it's not because I'm really, really confident. It's because I really wanted to go with this thing. I even drew it on my page to remind me of and just so you guys know, I wish I could show you and things like, as a matter of fact, I'll stop sharing and things like that. So you guys can see back like that. If you see me doing stuff like this now, it's because I have a computer that actually has a touchscreen. So I just want to push the all button. I was ready to push the all button in the triple bend handicap, and instead of pushing the all button, I went ahead and just went with.
Well, you either do one. I would do one or the other. I'm with you. Believe me, the notes that I have, my suggested pick 4 tickets, I have 2 of them that have all in race 6. I have 2 of them that have all in race 7. And I have 1 that has everybody but win the space in the big cap, the gold cup. So I think this can go a lot of different ways. The only horse I was very confident in is Kobe's back, and I like Melatonin quite a bit. But like I said, the first 2 races for me were really, like you were saying, Rich, earlier, especially about the maiden race. I almost kind of wish the maiden race was the first leg of the pick 4, because then at least I could see who's taking action at the windows. Like if Baffert's horse was taking more action than Giant Expectations. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that luxury tomorrow. And I think it's fairly obvious that either Tamangard or Family Code will be the favorite in the 6th.
Well, the only way would be double power. That'd be the only way. But
yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. Yeah, if you looked at the doubles before the races, yeah.
Yeah, but
that might be an indication. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, I kind of wish the maiden race was the first leg, and not the last, or not the second. But
it is what it is.
C'est la vie.
All right, so we've got that one up there. You got the 178, the 1257 with 246 with 67.
Okay, I'm just writing them
down. I like your idea, Joe, about the let's get to the 3rd race.
Well, the one thing I know is that we would be alive.
Yeah. I might try that some fun.
Like I said, I mean, I
might try that.
I'm not, and we could just as easily do that and end up with the 2 favorites winning. But like I said, maybe I'm just hungover from last week, figuring that we need to try and beat some of these favorites who, at least in my opinion, aren't necessarily legitimate favorites.
Well, we've had some priced horses come in, just we haven't been able to capitalize the other leg,
Yeah, no kidding.
And
I mean, last week, I mean, I was thinking about this. I want to say yesterday. I was like, damn it, you idiot! You could have had that pick 4 last week, and it paid almost $1,100 for 50 cents. I said, you stupid moron! You should have had this thing.
All right. Do we have anything else for our pick 4 ticket for this week?
I don't think we. I think we can stay with it as is.
That's a good one, yeah.
All righty. Let's see here if we have anything else for this week. For those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, we will be back next week. We are going to get together to take another look at another exciting card. Excuse me. It's been a long week. We are not going to be handicapping the Saturday card next week. So for those of you who tune in for us to see which races we're handicapping on Saturday, we will still be here on Friday night. We will still be same bat time, same bat channel. However, we are handicapping the Sunday card from Monmouth Park. It's the United Nations card. So all of us are a little bit excited. So we're going back to the East Coast. Gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the 2 of you.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is, always. Absolutely.
Always. Have a good weekend, fellas.
Look forward to it.
For Joe English and for Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching 3 Broke Guys Handicapping, good luck and good night.